Today, the CEO of Binance US steps down amid a wave of layoffs for the crypto exchange. The co-founder of a crypto fraud scheme gets 20 years in prison while his partner remains on the run. Celo co-founder René Reinsberg reacts to the wave of crypto firms expanding overseas. Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Tanea Mikeel. Digital currencies inching higher as of noon Eastern. Bitcoin was trading above $26,000, Ether at $1,600, and XRP rose to 48 cents. Okay, let's talk about the top stories. Binance US is making major cuts to its workforce. The US affiliate of the world's largest crypto exchange is laying off a third of its staff in the wake of legal challenges from the SEC. At the same time, Binance US's CEO Brian Schroeder is leaving the company. In a statement shared with us, Binance US said the actions we are taking provide Binance US with more than 7 years of financial runway and enable us to continue to serve our customers while we operate as a crypto-only exchange. The company also blasted the SEC, claiming it attempted to cripple its industry. Sticking with the SEC, the agency just fined the creator of the Stoner Cats web series $1 million over the unregistered offering of NFTs. The SEC claims the company, Stoner Cats LLC, sold unregistered crypto asset securities in the form of NFTs, raising about $8 million to finance an animated web series. The project featured big-name actors like Mila Kunis, Ashton Kutcher, Chris Rock, and Jane Fonda. In fact, Kunis is actually listed as a producer and investor in the project. We reached out to Stoner Cats about the settlement, but haven't heard back yet. Finally, the co-founder of the OneCoin crypto fraud just got 20 years in prison. Carl Greenwood orchestrated the multi-level marketing fraud, which stole more than $4 billion from investors around the globe. He pleaded guilty to wire fraud and money laundering back in December. His partner, though, Ruja Ignatova, who's better known as Crypto Queen, remains at large. She still sits on the FBI's 10 most wanted list. Both Greenwood and Ignatova consistently portrayed OneCoin as being the next Bitcoin, but the DOJ says the token actually had no value at all. All right, for our main story, today the blockchain Celo launched a new stablecoin wallet in Africa with the help of web browsing giant Opera. The goal is to bring low-cost, near-instant payments to the region. Crypto World's Talia Kaplan caught up with Celo co-founder René Reinsberg about the new wallet and the growth of crypto around the globe.
Here in the US, we're hearing a lot about crypto companies expanding overseas amid the backdrop of regulatory uncertainty. I spoke with the CEO of the publicly traded crypto company Bakkt last week, and he outlined his international expansion plans, which includes Latin America, the UK, the European Union, and Australia. Coinbase, another publicly traded company here in the US, told us last week that the firm is looking abroad as regulation in the States remains uncertain. According to a blog post, the crypto exchange is prioritizing markets in Canada, Brazil, Singapore, Australia, and Europe. In fact, Coinbase went so far as to say the EU is leading the way when it comes to regulation. What do you make of that statement, and what do you think about these US companies expanding abroad? What do you think that signals?
Yeah, and sometimes we tend to have a more of a, too of a US centric view, but yeah, definitely what I've been noticing is that the excitement is right now, especially in countries where maybe regulation is clear or regulation is on the way, is getting stronger. But also, if you look at, I think it was published yesterday, the Chainalysis Crypto Adoption Index, which always kind of looks at kind of different countries. A country like Nigeria ranks second there, and I think that's interesting too, because you really have a lot of the crypto as an infrastructure, Web3 as an infrastructure, starting to power applications where maybe from a user perspective that's abstracted away, but the infrastructure is actually helpful in enabling new use cases. So to me, yeah, I think it's not a surprise to see Coinbase and others to look more for international markets and international growth, because I think the demand for this innovation tends to actually be stronger right now in those markets, and sort of clearer guardrails around what's possible. Not to say that the build energy is not high in the US, but certainly the uncertainty from a regulatory perspective is having people who have the flexibility, the mobility to move around, right? Think about where to start their projects, and many of them are looking overseas or looking abroad.
Absolutely. And speaking of publicly traded companies, today you announced a new partnership with Opera, a multi platform web browser. Now, Opera is launching what's called MiniPay, a new stablecoin wallet built on your blockchain, Celo, with the goal of onboarding millions of users across Africa to Web3. Now, this stablecoin wallet offers quick and cost effective stablecoin transfers. Can you explain how MiniPay works exactly and why do you believe something like this is so important? What can it do for people in Africa in terms of financial transactions?
Yes, no, we're super. I mean, I'm personally super excited, but as a community, we're really excited about this launch. When we first started working on Cello, a lot of the friction that we um, saw around how crypto can be adopted in the real world, was around simple things like people don't want to deal with public keys, or the complexity around this is high, right? Why not instead use phone numbers? Or it's very hard to cash in and out of crypto in many markets, especially if you're trying to do this from, say, mobile money. Also, on most blockchains, in order to pay for transactions, you need the native token, right? So on Ethereum, you need ETH. But what if you just got some stablecoin and you want to send it to a friend, right? There's friction. There's a lot of little friction, and over the years, with sort of the seller community, a lot of these problems have been tackled. And a lot of times when we're kind of in Africa and meeting users, projects there, I think what we noticed is that there's really, and Opera had been in the ecosystem as a partner for a long time, but what we've noticed is almost everyone in Africa uses Opera Mini, which is a very popular Android browser, 90% market share. Over 100 million people use Opera in Africa, and so at some point it was like, well, what if there could be a wallet directly built into the browser, and make it super easy for people to like use dApps, but also send payments and do that across the continent and like longer term the whole world. And so yeah, today the product went live in Nigeria. It's a really big milestone. Early feedback has been really positive. So for the last few weeks, it's been in beta, and yeah, people love the ease of use that it brings. It's a non-custodial wallet. It kind of works. Given this runs on Android phones, people can easily back up their seed phrase in their Google account, and so even if you lose the app or your phone, you reinstall, you're right back where you were. Super easy on and offboarding, thanks to the seller community partners like PhoneBank, Bitmama, Paychant, that in some cases allow you to cash in just $1 worth of local currency right directly to your wallet, and then use it to make payments, peer-to-peer payments, or pay for airtime, or yeah, use popular dApps.
So, why Africa? Why was it important to launch MiniPay in this market? We recently spoke in depth about regenerative finance, or ReFi, which essentially leverages crypto rails to rebuild economies in ways that are more inclusive and sustainable. Is there a ReFi component to this new
100%.
stablecoin wallet on Celo?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. And 100%. So I think a lot of where this technology can really add a lot of value, right, is in markets that have traditionally been cut off from traditional finance, whether that's around access to just basic financial infrastructure, like microcredit. But there's also, and I think this is going to be really interesting trends that will connect also climate action, climate finance to something like MiniPay, is a trend that I've been observing where there's more and more talk about looking at kind of different communities in the global south and saying, hey, okay, these communities are guardians of our natural assets, right? And so rather than having some construct where there's some payments going between countries or corporations, right, at sort of a very high level, why not directly make payments to the communities and let people directly have access to that kind of funding? I think this is where sort of ReFi, climate action, climate finance, a lot of the work around inclusion is now meeting kind of its infrastructure, right, that can really enable that at a scale. Once you have 100 million people that have, they're one click away from accessing a payment on their phone, right, that really changes the things that you can roll out. You can you can give people access to. And so I expect a lot of the early use cases not just be around peer-to-peer payments, but be around community-based payments, for example, in the context of climate, access to microcredit, access to work, right? I think this is a big factor. While the internet has brought information, everywhere for free or almost free, it hasn't really provided access to work, right, to this digital economy, to this international kind of market.
Okay, that's all for Crypto World today. We'll be back again tomorrow, and we'll see you then.